So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, on this wonderful, beautiful Okanagan day. And how could it be any more lovely? Best part of the world. So this morning we're going to officially open our facility, which has been a 5-year journey. And I'm going to initially welcome all of you. We're very happy with our club, with all the people that joined us. And I'd just like at this time to introduce the people up here with me, and probably myself. My name is David King, and I'm the chairman of SOMC, which is the parent company of the Area 27 facility. Up here with me are Bill Drosas, president of the company, Jacques Villeneuve, Vice President Design, Trevor Siebert, Vice President Development and Construction, and our guest of honor, Chief Clarence Louie of the Osiris Indian Band, who are our land partner. You're standing now today on their land, and you know, it always amazes me that you can stand here, you look south, you look north, it's all their land. The development opportunities are unlimited, Clarence, and we're all looking forward to it. So a little bit of background. Bill, Jacques, and I met in the 80s at a racing school in Ontario run by Richard Spenard. All of us went off, did a little bit of racing. I did a little Turbo Cup racing, Porsche. Bill did the Players 200, and he met Trevor there. And of course, Jacques did everything, everywhere. And we're very proud to have him as our partner. What I'd like to do now is invite Jacques and Trevor to come up and just speak briefly to you, outlining the process they went through, the journey of designing this track and then getting it built and open. Talk about the design.
Well, the designing a track was always a dream, something I was wanting to do. But how do you get the opportunity? How do you get the landmass to do it in the first place, and also the interest? And here it was perfect, because there's nothing in this part on this side of Canada, and there's a lot of people with race cars or people that want to drive fast. So it was great to have this opportunity to drive a track where you don't have a preconceived idea of what you need to do to get that kind of races here, and you need this kind of corner for that kind of racing and so on. We had a totally blank sheet to make the track on which, well, I think I would enjoy, have fun driving, racing on, pushing the limit on, and to get this opportunity is very rare. Never happens. And designing is one part, and I'm not a builder, so we needed someone that understood the physical aspects of building a racetrack as well, and that's when Trevor was a logical choice, because he's a racer. We've known each other for a long time. He's from the area, so he understands it all, and he's also a builder. So it all worked, and it's someone I could rely on. We could exchange ideas. Even when I was back in Europe, I knew that he wouldn't change something and turn it into something terrible. What was changed was because it made sense building wise, and he also had the outlook of a race car driver. So it all made sense. It all started just with walking around the cornfield, going with a little quad, a little truck around, to have an idea, just to have an eye view of what is the land, where would you put logically a corner, where the way tracks used to be built, or more so I would say motocross track, where you just take a dirt bike, drive around, and suddenly it becomes a track. And that's a little bit the attitude we had with designing the track. After getting this basic idea, we made a picture from the top on which we could start drawing with what we remembered, and from there we put it in a simulator to just adjust it a little bit. And when we came back, it was all staked, and we could just drive around. It was a dirt track at that point, and that gave us a better feel. And the way it turned out after that is even better than we imagined. Anyway, that I imagined. So Trevor did a great job there, because all these finishing touches, we talked about it, but you know, it's not something I could have done myself.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Jacques, for some of the things you said there. For sure, you know, it was a pretty interesting project to come into, and I wasn't really sure. I just finished down at the media center, and I told the people down there the same thing. You know, you get 3 race car drivers in a room, and there's a lot of ego in there. I don't know if Jacques would admit to that or not, but there's a fair bit between Bill and I and Jacques, and I had my concerns that we'd be able to design this place and build it without each wanting kind of their own paintbrush and their own piece of canvas and stuff. But that didn't happen here. It didn't happen here at all. We, like Jacques said, we spent a lot of time on a little Polaris Ranger, and the 3 of us huddled in there driving around and staking stuff out and running over weeds and running into stumps and getting barbed wire caught in the tires and all kinds of fun stuff. So it was pretty rudimentary when we started, but as Jacques touched on, you know, when he talked about the motorcycle track type of idea, it really was the way we went about this place. We hey, apparently we're open. You know, we drove around, and as Jacques said, you know, it was really natural where the track should go. It was the characteristics that we had to kind of apply to where the track was going that really took a bit of work and some understanding. And something that kind of hit home early on in the game there, probably about a year and a half ago, Jacques was doing one of these talks, and he said, listen, I don't know anything about construction, but I do know about racetracks, I know about driving race cars. And that kind of told me that the egos were going to be set aside, and he was going to rely on me to look after the engineering side of it. And so what I did is I spent a lot of time actually listening to him for the first time in 20 years. And I listened to what he said, and what he said was, he said things like, I want to build a racetrack where it feels like you're driving somewhere, like you're on a country road and you're going somewhere. You remember saying that? He said that a few times. He said some other things like, when I drive the racetrack, I want to have opportunity to take a breath, to you know, collect my thoughts and challenge the next piece of track, because the 2 of us knew that we drove on a lot of racetracks where you're so busy you're forever turning, and they're so busy that they're not fun. And after driving it for a little while, you really don't care to drive it much anymore. You're tired, you just want to go home. I've seen drivers get out of their car here after being out here, and some professional drivers that have come here, and they say, I could drive this place all day long. You know, and a lot of that came from what Jacques' vision was, that I had to help get on paper from a construction standpoint, because you get into things like super elevations and stuff, and you don't want to make it so easy that it just becomes boring on the other hand. So we worked very well that way, and of course Bill had his hand in there as well. You know, it's funny you talk about being in Switzerland, and Bill was in Penticton, and who knows where I was, flying around different construction sites, and we'd get these pieces of paper that looked like somebody did them with a crayon, because they did do them with a crayon, you know, and you know, a couple of times you draw something on a map, and I'd have to say, I don't even think that's in our lease area. Like, and then we have to go back to Bill. Bill, is that in our lease? No, you guys aren't even on the right property. So, you know, that's kind of where it all started, and then it started to funnel down and tighten up, and as it moved on, of course, things got serious with design and engineering, and we got to where we are today. So I just want to thank these 2 guys for working with me on that.
Before that, just to touch on what you were saying about the fun part of a track. And I guess it comes from, I've raced on so many different kind of tracks and so many different kind of cars, and sometimes you're there thinking, what were they thinking? Why would they put this corner here? Why? For what reason? Just to try and add one more corner to the layout. And like we were saying, you get out with the car and you haven't had fun. And part of driving a race car, yeah, it's going fast. It's getting better, but it's also having fun. If it's not fun, then you wouldn't be doing it. And that's what we try to keep in this track, and that's why we have elevation changes, blind corners, where even if you're not super fast, because not everybody is a professional, you can still have fun driving around. When you look at the lap time, then maybe you'll have less fun, but until that point, when you're just driving around, doesn't matter what speed you're doing, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and you always have the feeling that you can get it better. And even for us that have been racing forever, you do laps and you still, there's still always a little something you need to figure out, because the track is complex at the same time, and that makes it very entertaining.
Absolutely. So I keep what I'm saying fairly brief, but one thing I wanted to mention today on my own behalf, as the owner of Lake Excavating, that's my construction company. We're contracted to build this place. My son Riley, who's also a NASCAR driver now, he was the superintendent on the job. One promise that we made, it started with Bill's promise, and then it was handed over to me that our employment on this particular site, being Okanagan Indian Band lands, would be everybody we could employ, we would. And we made that promise to Clarence. And I'm very proud to say that that we employed at least a 70% employment rate for Okanagan Indian Band people for the entirety of the project. Thank you, Clarence. I also want to thank, you know, it's interesting. Clarence is getting a lot of accolades for and for due course and due reason. But he's got a lot of good people that work with him too. He's got a great council and a great staff, and sometimes those people never get mentioned. And I want to give them a big round of applause because they were instrumental in helping us find good people to come and work with us and make sure everybody had an opportunity. I'll just close by saying that a lot of those people that we brought on, some of those people already had great skills, some of them didn't. We trained them, we brought them on. We have a lot of those people that still work with us today on different projects around the province. We've even had guys go as far as Alberta with us now. So I think that's a great partnership, and I'm really proud of that from Lake Excavating.
The people are going to present to the company and to all of us a thank you plaque from the Vintage Group. Are they around?
You cut me off guard there.
Okay, well, we're pretty ad-libby here.
Yeah, okay. I can do
Is
that.
that okay?
No problem.
Yeah, that works better.
My name is Stanton Guy. I'm the president of the Vintage Racing Club of BC. It was one of our members that just started up down there a few minutes ago. We're all the old race cars that are down there. The Vintage Club has been going since the 70s. We started racing in Westwood, which many of you people will remember. Then we now race at Mission, and if you'll forgive me a shameless plug here, our big BC Historic Motor Races is in August 19th and 20th there, and you're all invited, everybody, please come. About 4 years ago, I think it was, just over 4 years ago, Bill Grossos contacted myself as the president and Tom Johnston and asked if we'd be interested, if we could prepare to help support issue support for a facility that he was thinking of building in this area. And of course we said yes, great idea. And I wrote the letter just over 4 months ago and said, yeah, the Vintage Club would be more than happy. Of course, you know, we were thinking it'd be fantastic, it'd be really great, but you know, I mean, what are the odds really? I mean, you know, to build something fantastic like that in BC, build anything in BC is hard nowadays. So, yeah, but then you know, then we find out, like, I've never in a million years would have thought I'd be standing here just over 4 years later with this fabulous facility, you know, with our guys here and all these people. I mean, it's a fantastic job, and we're really pleased with it. And all our guys have driven on it yesterday, and one lady, love it. Just love it, and the idea of it being challenging, you've definitely done that for sure. I asked one guy how was he doing with the track, very experienced racer, and he said, I think I figured out turns 1 and 2. So it's a real challenge. I unfortunately can't drive on it because none of the members will lend me a car. But anyway, that being said, Bill, if you wouldn't mind here.
I'd like the other partners up.
Oh, sure, everybody, yeah, please.
Okay.
Come on up, guys. What we have here, Bill, you're far too young to know what this is, but they used to have grill badges on sports cars a long time ago, and now the cars don't have grills anymore. So we have a few of these left, and we took a grill badge and we put it on this plaque, and it's a thank you, it's a congratulations and a thank you from the Vintage Racing Club of BC. Presented to Area 27 to mark the occasion of the opening of their magnificent motorsport facility, June 3rd, 2017, presented by the Vintage Racing Club of British Columbia. So, take it out.
Good to meet you. Yeah, did very good ad-lib.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, which will be Bill and Clarence, talking about their partnership and where they came from this facility and where we're going to be going, I'd also like to acknowledge, from our perspective, the investment partners that came in this with us. There's 7 of them. I'm not going to introduce them, and I'm not sure they're all here. I think a couple of them are over there waiting to go out and drive. But in addition, I'd like to tell you that how much the owners and managers of this facility appreciate the staff that work for us. Many of you interact with them. I can tell you that you know, one of the benefits of this site, when Clarence put us on this site, was we have water access. As many of you know, this month we have not needed any additional water, but we've had staff here till midnight this week, and starting at 6. We had enough water here Thursday to drown the place. So I'd just like everybody to recognize how hard and how fantastic of staff that we have, and they're at your service. Going to come up here and just tell you a little bit about their journey together and getting us to where we are, and then where we're going to be going. And then Clarence will be introducing some of his people. You.
Well, for the journey, to go to where it started February of 2012.
Louder.
I was skiing up at Mount Baldy, and when I came down, it was foggy on the way up, and the way down I saw some land to the north, the Manual Flats area, and got me thinking this would be an ideal spot for a road course, and it really started things going in my head about how do you do it in this day and age. You need a land partner that wants you, for one, and I learned that it was on Osoyoos Indian Band land. Through people that I knew in Penticton, I was able to first actually met Sam Baptiste. I don't know if Sam's here, and then Tony. Is Tony here? But anyways, through Sam and Tony, I was able to meet Clarence. And I remember the very first drive around with you asking me what was this idea about, because the one thing about the Osoyoos Band, they're very entrepreneurial, pro-business, and open to ideas. That was my first impression. They're open to ideas. I'm sure you get a lot of crazy ideas coming your way.
Yeah, like
and this was probably one of the craziest. But we talked, and I think, Clarence, you said, let's drive to the south. And we went on the 4x4, and we came out that dirt road that you can see up there to the north, and you showed me this site. And you said, well, why not this site? You said it was a hay field and a cornfield, and it never really made a lot of money and didn't attract any tourists. And he said, how about this site? And I said, this would be a great site. And then we just sort of started our journey together. It was about getting the letter of intent with the band so I could get some investors, and then one step would lead to the next step, and eventually to the designation vote with the band, and then after that, all the fun that Clarence and I have with Indian Affairs, which is he still has a lot of that fun.
Yeah.
So I'll turn it over to Clarence and let him describe what it was like when I first walked in the door.
Hello everyone, it's a good day today. I want to thank Bill, going back 5 years when we first met, and of course, nothing happens without money. A lot of people talk, and yet it's true, we get a lot of people that come and talk to us, but they don't have money backing them up. So I really want to thank the investors. It's tough to invest on an Indian reserve. It is. And having to work through the bureaucracy of that dinosaur called Indian Affairs, that's a big problem. Trevor, I want to thank you for all the employment that you gave our people. And as the numbers prove, the construction of this project, we've had many projects constructed on the res here, from Oliver all the way down to Spirit Ridge, Osoyoos. The employment numbers, you guys topped everybody. You mentioned 70%. I knew it was well over 50%. And of course, there's growing pains with that, the inexperience of our equipment operators. And of course, just like lawyers, every equipment operator thinks they're the best. So I want to thank you for all the employment and that money that you put in our people's pockets. And for my members, especially the young ones that are here, Jacques Villeneuve, that guy right there, he's famous throughout the whole world. He's Canada's best race car driver. He won the Indy 500 once, and you placed in it second once, right? No other Canadian has ever done that. So I look at you and I think, especially to my young people here, Limlimt in our language, which means thank you for representing Canada all over the world for what you've done here. And it's so awesome that the Area 27 investors were able to get you to put your name on this track. You know, 5 years ago or 4 years ago, I was saying it's like having Tiger Woods design your golf course, but I can't use Tiger Woods' name anymore. So it's like Jack Nicklaus designing your golf course. And small town Oliver, we don't get to have people like Jacques in our backyards. I always tell people, when's the last time before Area 27 you saw a $500,000 up to a $1 million car hanging around Oliver? So this is a big deal. This is a very big deal for our region. And just before I go on, I want to have the mayor of Oliver come up and say a few words. Ron Hovanes.
Thank you so much for the invitation this morning. I mean, the hair has been standing up on my arms ever since I got here this morning. It's unbelievable to have this in our backyard. I told my wife Tara that I've already decided that it's going to have to be my next life, but it's going to be a Lamborghini. They're quite pretty. You know, small town Oliver, and we're not amazed anymore with the work that Chief Clarence and his membership, the work that you do in the South Okanagan. The Osoyoos Indian Band is a huge part of our economy and Osoyoos' economy in the whole South Okanagan. I just offer congratulations again to the membership, to your owners, and to your membership, and to the management, to Jacques and Kevin and all of you, and Clarence and Bill. I really congratulate you on your partnership. Nothing happens in this world today without partnerships and great relationships. You could not have picked a better partner to work with than the Osoyoos Indian Band. This is game changing. This is going to be game changing for the whole South Okanagan, and I welcome you all to our neighborhood, and please, you know, treat this as your home away from home, or make it your home. But again, congratulations.
Thank you, Ron. I'd like to recognize some of the other First Nation leaders that are here today. I might miss some people. Johnny Kruger from the Penticton Band, Limlimt, thank you for being here this morning. Willie Walmer from the Colville Tribe, across the border. I don't know who else, Chief Byron was going to be here today. He might from the Okanagan Band. So I want to welcome all the Okanagan Band members from the other 7 Okanagan bands on this side of the border, and Willie for coming from the other side of the border, because our territory, we're a cross-border tribe. That's my territory down there. When you come up here, this is your territory before the Canadians and Americans put that border there and cut our people in half. And it was mentioned, I want to mention a few the members of the council, Leona Baptiste, Teresa Gabriel, Ronnie McGuinness, Yvonne Weinert, who was on council at the time, Sammy Louie, am I missing? Tony Baptiste, who's back on council. It's great to have him back on council. Ronnie McGuinness. Of course, around our council table, every time there's a project, we don't always agree. That's democracy, right? Just like what happened in this last election in BC. So, but really, I knew that having Dave and your investors here and having Jacques' name here And seeing what we see here today is just a tip of the iceberg of what's can happen here. I brought this jacket up from the early 70s because I wanted to recognize today the history of the Sioux Indian Band in racing. Richard Baptiste is there. Paul Louis George is here. They were our racers back in the early 70s, stock car racers, and they set records and they participated in races in southern BC and in northern Washington state. And that jacket is going to hang in our band office, and it's so neat, and it's just how Indian magic works sometimes. The colors they had are the same colors as Area 27. To Richard and Paul and Albert Louis. We used to have, most people don't realize this, but on Black Sage Road, again, back in the 70s, the band agreed to let drag racing go on there. So people like Albert Louis and Jerry Louis, I don't know who else raced their car there, Richard Baptiste. So the Sioux Indian Band does have a race history. And even today we have guys with some pretty hot cars like Kelly Louie, I love your car. And we look forward to being on this track. We look forward to the high-end go-kart track happening up here so our young people can get involved at a young age with those go-karts, those high-end go-karts. And then some of our young people who love to wrench, res bombs, but those aren't res bombs. So they're going to have to get some education, which is awesome. Go to tech school or wherever, because I think these guys that own these Ferraris and Lamborghinis want somebody with some sort of card to be able to wrench on their car, right? So I hope some of these young people here in the future will be working up here. We look forward to buildings being up here. We look forward to maybe a conference center being up here, other sorts of buildings, because I know the race car culture are good people. And having the motorcycle culture up here, I'm a motorcycle guy, so I look forward to being up here and meeting other guys, girls interested in bikes, and meeting the people that are going to come to Oliver in this region. You guys are going to bring people here that otherwise would never have come to Oliver and Osoyoos. And I know there's a little bit of friction, as there always is, about any project. It's about the noise. Well, I think we should put up with a little bit of noise. For the benefits, the spin-off benefits of the money and the business people that are going to come to Oliver. I know, Mayor, you get calls about. No problem. And the other thing about the race car culture or the motorcycle culture, we love our music. We look forward. We would never have Mike Reno from Loverboy in Oliver. It's going to happen this afternoon, so we look forward to more concerts and attracting some big name rock and roll, some of the old rock and roll bands up here. And so I look forward to, so many of my people want to hear Loverboy this afternoon. Because back in the 70s and early 80s, that's what we grew up on. So I want to thank Area 27, Bill, for allowing and having Mike here, Mike Reno. Yep. And all of you that came today, and we'll see what this track is going to bring to this region. And I really want to say to Paul and Richard, thank you for starting it off back in the early 70s. And I have to mention Banjo Terbasket as well. He helped out with the lease, dealt with those guys in Vancouver and Ottawa, Indian Affairs bureaucrats. Yvonne Weinert, of course, who works in our lands department now. And I really look forward to this being a real business partnership. not just leasing our land out and then you guys do what you do and we're not involved. But ever since this first started, you guys have had us more involved than most any business that's been done on our res. And I look forward to, like I say, we have so many people that want to be involved in the racing culture and own. I look forward to one of our people owning a car like that. That would be so cool. That would be so cool. So Frank and Russell, thank you for all your videotaping you've done over the years. There are tech guys that keep the history of this stuff on record for us. And you're going to explain that ribbon cutting, how that's going to work?
Yeah, we're going to do a Area 27 ribbon cutting. It's Area 27 style. So it's a big ribbon. Clarence and David will be holding across start finish line, and there'll be 3 cars, 3 supercars. You said $500,000 car earlier, Clarence. Well, with the 3 cars together, are $5.5 million.
I want to mention Trevor. I forgot to mention this to especially for our young people. You guys want to see an awesome wreck? Google his name. He had one of the best wrecks you'll ever see. So Google this guy's name and see his wreck. And I also look forward to the safety aspect of driving, where we have driving academies up here, where our young people can learn how to drive, even street cars. And there's some there's a bike event happening up here.
Yeah, a bike event
A
with
pedal bike.
Oh, cycling race. Yeah, on June 9th in the evening, we've got the British Columbia Youth Championship cycling race here from 4 o'clock to 9 p.m. There'll be over 400 cyclists at the area on the circuit, and it's great because we often, Clarence and I have commented, we don't generally like to see a lot of bikes on the road. We'd rather see them maybe on the track where they're not getting in the way of us when we're driving around. So.
And also, as Bill mentioned, some of the stuff he can't mention, there's going to be some high net worth people up here. There's going to be some high net worth openings of cars, whether it's Dodge or Chevy or Vipers or whatever. When they launch a new car, they're going to be launching some of their new cars up here. And all the major car companies, the writers, Car and Driver,
all the magazine editors from all the biggest automotive publications in the world will be coming to this site throughout the year for different media launches. And this is something that we're looking forward to building on year after year. And when they come here, we've had a few come in advance to see the area, and they say there's nothing else like that, like this. Standing here, there's no other track with a pit lane with a view like this, and the amenities of the valley, the resorts, the lakes, the wineries, it's absolutely unique. Any track in the world. So I think going forward, the South Okanagan is going to get a huge amount of exposure and a lot more business and employment opportunities for people moving forward.
So at this time, I want to thank Dove and hey, Dove, are you here from the school? Maybe you can explain to the people the song and what song it.
We don't need it. Just for the
Hello, everybody. My name is Morning Dove. I'm the language and cultural teacher here in the community school, and these are some of the kids that come to the school, and they're also our national archers. And we're going to be singing a song for everybody, and it's the Okanagan song. And the words on the song are, we are beautiful people because our land is beautiful, and because as long as our land is beautiful, the people will always be beautiful. So that's the song.
So we call it the Okanagan Nation Anthem. So if you can show the same respect you would show to the Canadian or American anthem. Lim Lim.